advancing to the championship means for the program?
Yeah, last night's match was a great victory for us as a team and as a program, and I think for the university as a whole. And looking forward to competing against Stanford tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Go for it, Liam.
He's gonna make you work. He's gonna make you work.
Can't give you everything. Can't give you everything here.
You gotta work it out.
From a big picture viewpoint, what does this mean for Loyola to be in this situation?
From a big picture standpoint, I guess we look at the future as far as all the media and all the credit that it'll bring to Loyola as a whole. The athletics department, I know there's a lot of things that we want to do as an athletic department, and hopefully this will help us to get there.
Yeah, and what I hope is it puts it on the map for the younger kids. You know, kids coming up through club, like start looking at our school from 13s, 14s, not just looking at the historical, like dominant West Coast teams. So I think that's extremely exciting.
For either of you guys, there's California guys now playing on Midwest teams. There's a lot of Midwest players playing on California teams, and New York State guys, like, you know, all the MPSF. How does that work out? How does everybody from the Midwest not come here and go to Lewis, you know, go to Penn State or something, and have, you know, what's the hook for everybody?
I think everyone's different in terms of finding a school that fits well for you, finding the team that you like, and like when you go to visit, like, do you like the guys on the team? Do they get along with you? Do they have similar interests? And this has been one of the most competitive years over all my years at Amoeba, just in terms of teams like beating up on teams like top to bottom. Like one of the hardest serving teams we saw was Lindenwood. You know, like everyone's going for it this year. So, and I think I didn't get to see any matches personally, but I think it was the same in the MPSF. So I think the talent's just becoming more and more distributed.
Like in your case, where else did you consider?
I was also looking at NYU and Pepperdine. So, but I mean, of course I can't hear because of the coaching staff. So.
You went to Malibu and Pepperdine, and did they offer?
Yeah, I had a spot on the team, but
it's just one of those places where you go, and it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and I grew up watching that team. My mom went there, but again, it's what school's a good fit for you. So,
Joe, can you talk about some of that stuff too?
The weather definitely helps. I mean, if you look at Chicago weather compared to Southern California, I think that.
Do you like this weather here?
Oh, I love it here.
Did either of you guys have 8 o'clock in the morning classes or anything like that today after last night?
No, luckily for us, we're in graduate school, so all of our classes are at night, so like 6 to 9 p.m. Yeah, so,
Works out, right?
yes, so we get to sleep in.
What's the campus been? I mean, I don't know if you guys have out and about today, but what's the campus been like as this whole thing's been going on and going on?
it's really cool. Everyone's rallying around men's volleyball. You know, you wouldn't expect it, but complete strangers come up to us and they're like, "Hey, man, like, great job!" Like, I got a letter slipped under my door from the people in my apartment. Like, "Hey, good luck, great job! Like, this is awesome." It's like people are fired up for men's volleyball.
Peter and Joe, talking about your guys' success this year within the conference, do you feel that the conference Amoeba was undervalued a little bit by maybe some outsiders and how they view the competitive level of it?
I think at least recently the shift that we're seeing as far as volleyball diversifying across the nation has definitely strengthened the Amoeba conference. And we're really excited that the new conference got added as well, and that we just hope that it keeps expanding to something that's a lot bigger than just 4 teams or 6 teams in the end.
Yeah. And, you know, ask you guys have had a lot of success this year, but, you know, if you guys aren't able to win tomorrow night, do you still consider the season a success?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the experiences we've had this year and just like how close our team is, like that's what it's all about in the end. You know, if we go out there and we give our full effort, lay it all out there, and we lose, like you can't be mad about that. Stanford's a great team, like, but as long as we leave everything out on the floor, because it literally is the last match, everyone's going to be completely happy at the end of the day.
And Shane, to ask you, this is the 3rd time in the last 5 years that a non-West Coast team is going to be in the national championship match. I think that's the most within a 5-year span. You know, what does that mean for you, just in terms of growing the game and see the Amoeba grow?
Yeah, I think obviously it shows that, I think it helps obviously that players are coming from West coming to the Midwest and East Coast, and I think pretty much a lot of the teams have those West Coast players on that are becoming successful. So I feel just in terms of the helps the strength of our conference as well as the East Coast conference too. For me personally, it just shows that we're moving in the right direction to be able to get some of these guys on campus, like Peter Josias from the West Coast or Cody Caldwell, and bringing those guys, getting them here and showing what we have to offer. And there is some great volleyball outside the West Coast.
You know, what's the pitch you make in the living room to a guy like Peter or Cody? And I mean, seriously, you know, because when they have opportunities to go play at a place like Pepperdine, and you get them to come here.
Well, the funny thing about with Josias is it was like middle of winter, right? Yeah, it was middle of winter, and I think bottom of Peter's jeans were frozen. I think we actually had him on campus. But Josias, he's got some East Coast roots as well. Boston guy says dad and family, he's got some roots out there. So he kind of understood the weather in that sense, so that was wasn't too bad of a sell. But we try to get him here in that September time frame on campus when things are nice, and we tell him it's 75 and sunny every day of the year, and they believe us.
But you're not telling me that like what you say in the living room, you know, or when the parents are here, you know.
Yeah, basically, I'm going to take care of their son when they're on campus. They can feel good about assigning them to Loyola, and they're going to get taken care of by our support staff, myself, my staff, and I can look them in the eye and tell them that I'm going to take care of their son here. And I think there's a lot that goes to that. You know, we have a huge pride in our academic and just a personal responsibility as a group. We have a great culture, and all the guys buy into that. And I think when they come on the visit, or when I'm sitting in the living room with them, having kitchen and dining and having dinner, I can truthfully say all this.
Shane, Stanford is the one school you haven't faced that's here. What kind of challenges did they present to you?
Yeah, you know, it's a team that we're somewhat familiar with in terms of, you know, we've seen a few matches on them. Lewis has played them, so we've got a little bit of video on them from earlier in the season. But they're very similar to us in the sense that they can hit you at every position. They're a good serving team, a good receiving team, and they run the pick and what we call a 40 off the backside of the center very, very well. So I think we're used to playing that style of volleyball. But again, we don't have a ton of information on them like what we do against, you know, our own conference opponents.
Did you get a chance to watch their match yesterday?
Yeah, I watched I think the first two sets a little bit, and thought they played, you know, a little bit up and down, kind of like us and a lot of the teams that were playing last night. But they bring a lot of firepower at the pins, and Shaw does a great job moving that ball around, and he's a huge threat up there as a setter. I mean, he's taking that ball at the height of the antenna a lot of the times, and it's a lot to try to keep track of, and puts that pretty good pace to the pins for his attackers and puts it in a really good spot.
Coach, looking forward to tomorrow night, you know, you're going to be in the championship match, 4,000 people there. You know, what do you tell your players to try to help them keep their emotions in check and just not be so amped up when they come on out there for game one?
Yeah, I think these guys have done a pretty good job of keeping composure, and we've kind of mid-season always had this thing of a slow start. I don't know how many set ones we've dropped, but we always kind of rally back and win in 4 or 5. But recently we've come out really strong in set 1 and then kind of tailed off a little bit. But I feel like there's so much less pressure than last night because we've got over that hurdle from last night with the program. And I think it's just like Peter was saying, it's our last match together. It's our time to go out and let loose and have fun and enjoy the time that we have tomorrow night together and just let it rip. So I think it's going to be hopefully a different team and a little bit more consistent than what you saw last night.